All right, so now we're going to take a derivative with the square root. All right, well, same thing. We're not going to change anything as far as how that goes. We're just going to say, okay, well, first things first, we're going to find f of x plus h. So that's going to be equal to what? Well, that's going to be the square root of, now we plug that in here, that's going to be x plus h plus 4. Pretty easy so far. 2, now we're going to find f of x plus h minus f of x. Okay, well, that's going to give us the square root of x plus h plus 4 minus square root of x plus 4, because that's the original f of x. All right, still not too bad. So 3, well, I would just divide by h. And so that gives us then the square root of x plus h plus 4 minus the square root of x plus 4 all over h. Now, at this point, we're like, okay, now what do we do? Okay, well, here is what we have to do. We have to get and rationalize the numerator. We've probably heard of rationalizing the denominator before, but now we're actually going to have to rationalize the numerator. And so that means we're going to multiply by, and what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by the whole numerator, but we're changing the sign to a plus. So we're multiply by the square root of x plus h plus 4 plus the square root of x plus 4. And what we do in the numerator, we do in the denominator. All right. Now, what can we do with that? Well, we can simplify. So we take this times this, and guess what that gives us? That gives us just x plus h plus 4. And then we'll multiply outer. We'll have a plus, the two multiplied together. The inner will give us a minus, those two multiplied together, so those cancel. And then we have this times this, so the square roots cancel, and we have a negative of it. So we'll take a minus x minus 4. Okay, and that's all over. And now we have h times, and then we have our uh, square root of x plus h plus 4 plus square root of x plus 4. Okay. All right. Now, looks like we have the 4's will cancel, the x's will cancel, and now we just have h on the numerator and h here on the denominator, so those will cancel. And so it looks like our final part of 3 is going to just be 1 over square root of x plus h plus 4 plus square root of x plus 4. All right. Complicated, but it's not hard. It's all just simple, multiplying together and remembering how to do some algebra. All right, that means we're down to step 4, which is finding the limit as h approaches 0 of 1 over square root of x plus h plus 4 plus square root of x plus 4. Okay. Well, if we plug in 0 here, guess what? We just get 1 over square root of x plus 4 plus square root of x plus 4. Well, there's 2 of those, so we can simplify that and say, well, that's 2 square root of x plus 4. Okay. Now here, what do we know? Well, the square root, if we remember what a square root looks like, it kind of looks like this. And so it goes then from usually from in this case from 0 up to infinity. And so, but this one is we're offset, but we're offset, so it's going to be coming back over here. So it's going to go actually from a -4 to infinity. And so that's where we're limited to. So only things from -4 up to infinity are going to work here, or we could say x has to be greater than a -4, however you want to look at it. But we can't have negatives under the square root, so it always has to be, greater than that. It can't equal that because then we divide by 0, but everything greater than that, we should be okay. And so, depending on how you want to write that or what the directions say, sometimes they'll say, like an interval, sometimes they'll say you can just say inequality. So it depends on how they want it, you can do that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use what we just found in the next problem. So our key is we found this piece here, and now we're going to use that into this problem where it says the company's total sales in millions of dollars t months from now are given by S of t equals square root of t plus 4. Now we used x's over here, but we're going to be okay because we're going to say now instead of x's we actually have s prime of t is equal to, and we just write down what we have here, 1 over 2 square root of t plus 4. Okay, so that's our derivative. And what we need to do is it says find and interpret S of 12 and S prime of 12. All right, well, that's pretty easy. S of 12, we just plug in 12 here. 12 plus 4 is 16, so that's going to be the square root of 12 plus 4 equals square root of 16, which is just equal to 4. And S prime of 12, we're just going to say, okay, well, that's 1 over 2 times the square root of 12 plus 4. So it's going to be 1 over 2 square root of 16. And it's going to be 4, so it's going to be 1 over 8, or 0.125, depending on how you want to look at it. All right, so, but what is S? Well, S is sales in millions of dollars. So it says we have to interpret what this means. So it means in 12 months, because it's 12 is going to be T months from now. So in 12 months, the total sales will be, and we said it's going to be 4, so it's going to be $4 million. I guess we don't need S on that. That's okay. $4 million. And increasing because the derivative is our rate of change and it's a positive, so it's increasing at a rate of, and it's going to be by what? $0.125 million, okay, per month. Now, we could convert that to actual just dollars instead of millions of dollars. And if we wanted to do that, that's going to be what? Well, we multiply that by millions, so it's going to be $125,000. But what we're going to do is we can use it either way. But I think if we keep it this way, what happens is, and now it says, use these results to estimate the sales after 13 months and after 14 months. So if we're going to add millions of dollars to millions of dollars, that's going to be easier to do it that way than as $125,000, unless you want to write out a whole lot of numbers. Okay. So now they say, what is 13 months from now? Well, it's going to be our sales at 12 months, 4 million, plus how much we're making per month. So 1 month later is going to be 0.125 million more, or 4.125 million. Okay. Now, if we'd converted, the million here to 4 and 6 zeros, and we had this and that, then we'd have 4,125,000, and we could write that out as well. So depending on how you want to write it, as a lot of zeros, or if you want to put the millions and write it out like that, that's fine as well. Now, 14 months from now, well, we're going to have 13 months, which is 4.125 million. And we're saying it's always going to be increasing at a rate of 0.125 million per month after that. So if we add another 0.125 million, that gives us what? Well, that's going to give us 4.250 million after 14 months, or at 14 months. Okay. So that's what these are asking here. So first, we had to find that derivative. Then we had to interpret what the S of 12 and S prime of 12, the derivative of that was. And then because we know those are how much the total sales are at 12 months and how much it's changing, each month, in this case, $0.125 million per month, then we can find out what it's going to be at 13 months and at 14 months. All right, so let's stop there and we'll come back with one little bit more definitions and we'll be done.